Hi, I'm Anthony Lorenzo Green, Advisory Neighborhood Commissioner for Single Member District 7C04, representing the Deanwood community in Ward 7 right here in Washington, D.C.
My name is Makia Green. I am a resident of Ward 2. I am a lead organizer with Black Lives Matter DC, and I'm also a political organizer with Working Families Party DC.
And no relation, I'm sure we need to do a family tree.
Hey,
Figure the Grays are related. But I'm happy to be here to support current movements and to make sure that we spread the message that learning about our history and how some of the changes in our movements have happened really sets us up for the future and to really evolve into the people that we really need to be. The film that we watched today, learning more about Grace Lee Boggs, really opened our eyes about what was happening in Detroit, and really it's an example of what's been happening here in Washington, D.C. for so many years. And I think it's very important that current movements continue this mission and really for all of us as a community support that, so that the generation coming behind us would know what has been done to try to prepare our people for self-empowerment and more control of our society and really set a tone for what's happening today. This is the name Current Movement, so that we can fully be educated and engaged in the best practices to help us heal together and make the necessary progress.
Mm-hmm. The most recent film really helped me reflect on, as a young person, I've been in this movement since 2014. And so for the last 5 years, being a part of a mass protest movement, this last film really reflected on how the things that we have to keep in our movement, right? When we go through trauma, when we go through oppression, when our opposition is coming at us, right? Like there are things that we have to hold on to. And current movements really reflects that, right? Like the culture, the relationship building, the transformation and reflection that we need in order to be sustainable and impactful, right? Like I think in activism, we often ask ourselves whether we need to be right or effective, you know? And actually to be effective and to like, no one is disposable, we're gonna have to do the culture work and we're gonna have to do the healing work. And so I really appreciate current movements. I really appreciate Katie. And I remember just how this idea grew into this beautiful program, this beautiful network of people of all walks of life. People coming into the festival, never have heard of the coalitions that we're a part of, and just being able to like build upon that. And so I'm just deeply grateful for current movements. Adding to our activist community.
And remember, revolution doesn't happen without evolution.
Yes. And what's really important also is that the name current movements, right? Like we actually have to study movements. I don't know how many community meetings you go to.
If
you ever go to a community meeting where there are so many brilliant people in a room where they're like, all talking about how no one does anything for the community, but they're there right then, right? And I think that comes from like this insecurity and this feeling of not studying our movements and seeing that all of the movements that we've been a part of and that we've seen over time, the ones that brought us here, they all had issues, they all had roadblocks, and they all transformed, right? To be able to be where we are today. And so like just not being stuck in like this negativity and judgment, that's what I really got out of Grace Lee Boggs, of like, but seeing the benefits and like the growth that we've had and the transformation, and not as much in the sense of regret, right?
And how willing she was to really challenge constantly the ideas of others and allow people to challenge her and be consistent in that. That's the way we grow and build together. Because as long as that we are a society that have this one singular belief, as someone said in the session, we might as well just throw on uniforms and call it a day.
Right.
So I'm very happy that we were able to learn more, and I'm really appreciative to current movements for setting the tone for us to be deeply embedded in this movement.
And they also focused on building on local work.
Yes.
Which I thought was really important, right? When we think of these national movements, like national work, we have to be coordinated, right? Because like my liberation is tied up with Detroit's liberation and all of those things. But she consistently invested in local work, in local organizing, in local direct support. And I think in just the time of this election, it's really important to like cement that for people, that like your neighborhood, your neighbors, right? Like, and what you do for the folks around you is a part of that revolution.
Yes. So support current movements.
Yes.
And most importantly, support your own community.
Yep.
Be proud.